How many times have you waited for motivation to show up, and it never came? Your running shoes stayed clean, the page stayed blank, and all that was left inside you was guilt. We often believe motivation has to come first, that only when we feel like it can we start. But that's a trap. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." He didn't wait for a feeling. He acted first. And today, I want to take you on a journey with 3 pillars: clarity, control, and action. Let's start with clarity. Imagine you're driving through heavy fog. You can't see the road. You hesitate, and then you stop. That's what it feels like when you say, "I don't have motivation." It's not laziness. It's lack of clarity. The Stoics remind us, separate what's in your control from what's not. You can't control the final outcome, but you can always control the very first step. So ask yourself, what's in my hands right now? Now, let's talk about control. Most of us let emotions drive the car. We work when we feel like it. We quit when we're tired. But to the Stoics, emotions are just passing clouds. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things." So change your language. Don't say, "I have to write this report." Say, "I'm sending a strategic message to the world." Same action, completely different energy. When you redefine the task, you take the wheel back. And finally, action. Most of us wait to feel ready, but that feeling may never come. So act small. Write 1 sentence. Put on your shoes even if it's just to stand up. Set a 5-minute timer and begin. And then something strange happens. Once you act, resistance melts. The body pulls the mind forward, and motivation arrives after you move. There's a saying here in America, motion creates emotion. That's the Stoic way. You don't wait for motivation, because motivation isn't the condition, it's the result. 1 deep breath, 1 small step, 1 action right now. Remember this, don't wait for motivation to act. Act, and let motivation chase you. And if this message touched you, share it with someone who might need their own first step. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So together, we can walk this Stoic path one day, 1 step at a time. Principle 1, start ridiculously small. How many times have you delayed something simple just because in your head it felt too big? An hour-long workout, the perfect essay, a massive project, and in the end, nothing even started. The truth is, the biggest changes often begin with the smallest, almost laughable actions. 1 step around the room, 1 awkward sentence on the page, 1 glass of water poured. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Epictetus once said, "First decide who you want to be, then do what you must." Notice he didn't mention feelings. He mentioned action. So when you want to exercise, don't picture an hour of sweat. Just put on your shoes. When you want to write, don't demand 1,000 words. Just open the laptop and type 1 sentence, even if it's clumsy. It sounds trivial, right? But that's the power. Picture this: in front of you is a pile of dry wood on a cold night. You can't wait for a roaring fire to appear out of thin air. You need a spark. Just 1. And from that spark, the flames spread and grow. That tiny action is the spark. It won't finish the job, but it will start it. And once you start, momentum kicks in. 1 line becomes 2. 5 minutes becomes 30. Motivation doesn't come first. Movement creates motivation. Modern thinking says I need inspiration before I act. The Stoics flipped it. First, choose your identity, who you want to be. Then take the smallest action that matches that identity. And finally, the feelings, the motivation will follow. You don't say, "I'll write when I feel inspired." You say, "I am a writer, and so I write." You don't wait for belief to arrive. You act first, and belief comes after. So ask yourself today, where can you start? Not with a massive project, not with a long to-do list, but with one action so small, you can't say no. It might be pouring a glass of water, placing a notebook on the desk, or just lacing up your sneakers. Change doesn't start with a giant leap. It starts with the smallest step you're brave enough to take right now. Remember, don't wait for motivation. Start ridiculously small, because it's the small steps that truly change your life. And if this message resonates with you, try one tiny action today. And if it helps, share it with a friend you care about. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So together, we can nurture the Stoic flame day by day, step by step. Principle 2. Set a countdown. Timer. How many times have you stared at a task for weeks, only to realize later that if you had just sat down for 5 minutes, you could have started long ago? Sometimes a tiny ticking timer is more powerful than the biggest plans. You don't need excitement. You don't need perfection. All you need is 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you begin. We often turn tasks into monsters in our minds. A short report becomes a mountain. A messy kitchen looks like a battlefield. The more we stare, the scarier it feels. And the scarier it feels, the more we avoid it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't let your imagination crush you with the whole of your life. Focus only on the task at hand." He didn't say tackle the mountain. He said, just do the small thing in front of you. And that's exactly what a countdown timer gives you, a way back to the present. Set the timer. Not an hour. Not the whole afternoon. Just 5 minutes. And commit. I'll only do this while the clock is running. No need to finish. No need to be brilliant. Just stay in the action. When you shrink the scale, fear loses its power. A book feels overwhelming, but writing one sentence in 5 minutes, anyone can do that. A messy room feels exhausting, but cleaning one drawer in 2 minutes, too easy to ignore. And here's the magic. When the timer rings, you usually don't want to stop. Picture this. You're standing before a massive iron gate. You push and push, but it won't open. Right beside it, though, is a small crack in the wall. Step through that crack, and suddenly everything inside feels easier. The countdown timer is that crack. You don't need to break down the mountain. You just need a doorway. The brain hates the idea of endless work, but when you give it a time limit, it relaxes. Only 5 minutes, I can handle that. And it agrees to cooperate. You start. The body moves, the mind follows, and the flow opens up. So let me ask you, what are you putting off right now? An email unsent, a book unopened, a project you haven't touched. Try it right now. Pick up your phone, set 5 minutes, and only work within those 5 minutes. Don't think about the whole mountain. Just think about one step. Don't wait for your mind to scream, "I'm ready." Let the timer whisper. Just 5 minutes. And then you'll see those tiny 300 seconds can change the entire flow of your life. Set the timer. Just 5 minutes. Begin. Because sometimes an entire life turns around from the first 300 seconds. And if this message speaks to you, try it right after this podcast. And if you found it helpful, share it with a friend, hit like, subscribe, and together, let's walk through the gate of procrastination. One step, 1 minute at a time. Principle 3. Move your body. Do you know that a single small movement can change the course of your entire day? Not coffee, not a sudden burst of inspiration, but simply because your body moved. Most of us sit still waiting for motivation. But when the body is still too long, the mind grows heavy. Willpower softens, and that quiet voice whispers, maybe tomorrow. The Stoics saw this truth long ago. They reminded us action comes first, motivation follows. Epictetus said, you become what you give your attention to, and movement is attention made visible. Modern science agrees. In your brain, there's a center that governs willpower, the ACC. The moment you stand and take a few steps, it lights up, and suddenly you feel steadier, more in control, ready to act. You don't need an hour at the gym. You don't need a full yoga session. You just need one simple move. Stand and stretch. Walk around the house, clear a corner of your desk. It seems small, but small is the doorway. Picture this. You're pushing a heavy cart. When it's still, it feels impossible. But the moment the wheels turn that first half roll, everything becomes easier. Your body is the same. One small move breaks the weight of inertia. A sculptor friend once told me, he never begins with clay. He sweeps the floor of his studio, the sound of the broom against the floor. That's his ritual, body moving, mind joining, and me. Before I write, I don't force myself to type right away. I pour a glass of water, I set it on the desk, and in that small moment, I know, now it begins. What about you? Where are you stuck? An email unsent, a habit unstarted, a project half done. Don't wait to feel ready. Instead, ask, what can I do with my body right now? It could be a shoulder roll. It could be standing for 30 seconds. It could be clearing one little corner of your desk. Just one move. Then watch how your mind follows. Motivation doesn't come first. It's born from motion. The body leads. The mind comes after. So if you're waiting, stop waiting. Stand up. Take a step. And let that step wake up your spirit. Don't wait to feel ready before you act. Act first, and readiness will find you. If this message speaks to you, try one small move right after this podcast. And if you find it helpful, share it with a friend. Hit like, subscribe, so together we can begin the Stoic journey, step by step, day by day. Principle 4. Identify what you're avoiding. Have you ever sat for hours in front of a screen staring and not typing a single line? The task is simple. An email, just a few sentences. A call, just a few minutes. A short report, only a few pages. But your body stalls. Your mind scrambles for escape. So what are you really avoiding? The truth is, we rarely procrastinate because the work is too hard. What we avoid is the story underneath. The fear of failing, the worry we're not good enough, the fear of being judged. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Suffering doesn't come from the action itself, but from the meaning we attach to it." That's why the first step out of procrastination is naming the truth. Write it down. Just one sentence. Plain. Honest. I'm avoiding this report because I'm afraid it will be terrible. I haven't sent the application because I think I'm not qualified. I haven't started the project because I'm afraid people will laugh at me. The moment you name it, the fear loses some of its power, because now it has shape. And what has shape can be faced. Imagine you're in a pitch-dark room. You know something's there, but you can't see it. The uncertainty makes it terrifying. Then, someone flips on the light. It's still messy, yes, but at least it no longer haunts you. Writing down your fear is like flipping on that light. The truth, once seen, is less frightening. Avoidance stretches fear. Silence makes it grow in the dark. But honesty shrinks it back to size. That email returns to being just a few lines. That report, just a few pages. The monster becomes only a task. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by something external, it's not that thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it. And you have the power to revoke that judgment." I remember once putting off a presentation for an entire week. Not because I lacked ideas, but because I feared it wouldn't be good enough in front of my boss and co-workers. On the last day, I wrote one line in my journal: "I'm avoiding this because I'm afraid of being seen as incompetent." That was it. But strangely, once I named it, the weight lifted. I opened my laptop. I started typing, and 3 hours later, the presentation was done. So what about you? What are you avoiding right now? Don't justify, don't explain. Just write one raw, honest sentence. The truth may sting, but that sting means you've touched it. You've cut through the fog. Remember, you're not stuck because of the work itself. You're stuck because of a fear you haven't named. Name it, and you free yourself. So try it now. One sentence, one truth. And if this message speaks to you, share it with someone who needs it. Hit like, subscribe. And together, let's practice looking fear in the eye, like a Stoic. Principle 5. Practice. Negative visualization. Imagine this everything you have, gone overnight. Scary, isn't it? But that very thought can be your greatest source of strength, the spark that makes you live more fully right now. The Stoics had an ancient practice called premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. Not to be pessimistic, not to worry, but to prepare the mind, and most of all, to treasure what you already have. Because we so often take the present for granted. Our health, our time, the people we love. We assume they'll always be there. Only when they're gone do we finally see their true value. The Stoics chose differently. They looked at loss before it came, so that when each day arrived, they lived awake, grateful, grounded. Seneca once wrote, "A man is not rich because he owns much, but because he appreciates what he has." So before you start anything, ask yourself, if I don't act, what's the worst that could happen? If this chance disappears forever, will I regret it? You hesitate to apply for a job. Picture yourself a year later still in the same place. Can you bear that regret? You hold back from telling your parents you love them. Picture tomorrow and they're gone. Can you bear that silence? Suddenly hesitation melts away. You see what matters, and you act. Think of a sailor preparing to leave shore. He imagines storms torn, sails crashing waves. It sounds grim, but it's what makes him tie the ropes tighter, secure the sails, strengthen his resolve. The one who never prepares is crushed when the storm hits. The one who visualized it stays calm because in his mind, he has already lived through it. When you face the worst-case scenario, fear loses half its power. It's no longer vague. It's no longer monstrous. It becomes a script you've already rehearsed, and from there, you're free to act. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not expect events to happen as you wish. Instead, wish that they happen as they do, and you will remain at peace." I remember my first big presentation. Hundreds of people. My hands shook, my heart pounded. Then I asked myself, if I fail, what's the worst? I pictured blank stares, a clumsy talk, embarrassment. But then I realized I'd still be alive. I'd still learn, and I could always try again. Once I accepted that, fear faded. I stepped on stage, and it was lighter than I expected. So what about you? What decision, what action are you delaying? Pause. Ask, if I don't do this, what's the worst that could happen? If this chance disappears, will I regret it? Sometimes just those two questions are enough to wake you up. Negative visualization doesn't make us dark. It makes us clear. It makes us grateful. It gives us the strength to act today. So close your eyes just for a minute. Think of the one thing you fear losing most. Feel that ache. Then open your eyes and act while you still can. Because only when you learn to face loss do you truly begin to live. And if this message speaks to you, try this simple practice after the podcast. And if you find it helpful, share it with a friend. Hit like, subscribe. So together, we can live more awake, more grateful, more courageous, like a Stoic. Principle 6. Growth comes from difficulty. Are you avoiding what's hard, or are you training yourself? Have you ever wondered why some people walk out of challenges stronger while others collapse, losing faith in themselves? The answer lies in how they face difficulty. Avoidance makes you weaker. Facing it makes you resilient. We often hate struggle. It drains us. It stresses us. It makes us want to run. But both science and the Stoics agree on one thing. Difficulty is the hidden gym of the mind. Inside your brain, there's a region called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, a center of willpower, and it acts just like a muscle. The more it's tested, the stronger it gets. The more it's neglected, the weaker it becomes. Every time you work out when you're tired. Every time you study when you'd rather scroll. Every time you begin something hard. You're training that muscle. You're teaching your brain to say, I move forward even when I don't feel like it. But every time you avoid, you whisper to yourself, I can't handle difficulty. And over time, that belief chips away at your strength. Picture that brain muscle as a soldier. Every time you face a challenge, he trains. He grows disciplined, reliable. But if you keep him idle, the day a real battle comes, he'll shake and break. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. They didn't choose what was easy. They chose what was right. Not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they knew only in adversity does the soul grow strong. Cleanthes once wrote, Lead me, O Zeus and destiny, wherever you will. I will follow without hesitation. He didn't ask for an easy road. He asked for a road that forged his will. I once coached a young baseball player. He hated those cold, rainy practices. But I told him, right now, your willpower muscle is growing. He clenched his jaw, pushed through, and later, when the pressure was on, when teammates froze, he stood steady. Not because he was born strong, but because he had built that strength day after day. And you, what are you avoiding today? A hard conversation, a decision that scares you, a workout that feels too heavy. Look at it differently. It's not an obstacle, it's a training session, a chance to strengthen the soldier inside you. Difficulty isn't the enemy, it's the secret gym of the spirit. Every time you avoid, you shrink. Every time you face it, you grow. So when the challenge knocks, don't ask, why me ask? Instead, who will I become? After this, difficulty doesn't break you. It trains you. Every challenge you face builds the strength you'll need tomorrow. If this message resonates with you, try it today. Pick one hard thing. Do it. Not as a burden, but as training for your spirit. And if you found meaning here, share this podcast with someone who needs it. Hit like, subscribe. So together, we can grow stronger, one challenge at a time. Principle 7. Reframe the task. Sometimes a single word can drag you down or lift you up. Have you noticed how the way you name a task can turn it into a burden or into an invitation? Most mornings we tell ourselves the same phrases: I have to write this report. I have to clean the kitchen. I have to work out. Just those two words have to weigh on the mind. Your body shrinks. You feel forced. But if you reframe it, I'm sending a strategic message into the world. I'm resetting mission control by cleaning my kitchen. I'm training my body like a fighter. Same task, different words, completely different energy. The Stoics understood this power. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them." In other words, you can turn duty into opportunity, punishment into practice. Words are not neutral. Words are lenses. Change the lens and you change the experience. Picture yourself in a forest. If your map says dangerous woods full of traps, you'll walk with fear. But if the map says training ground of warriors, you'll walk with purpose. Same forest, different story. Words are the map for your mind. How to practice reframing. Catch the old phrase, "I have to," rewrite it. I'm training, I'm sending a message, I'm resetting my environment. Add a touch of metaphor or play. Studying for the exam. Training like an academic gladiator. Writing a report, launching a strategic capsule into the universe. Cleaning the kitchen, restarting mission control. It may sound silly, but your brain reacts strongly to metaphor. When a task becomes part of a story, the heaviness lifts. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Each morning today, I will meet arrogance, selfishness, laziness, but none of it can take away my integrity." He didn't see hardship as punishment. He saw it as training for his soul. You can do the same. Don't treat chores, deadlines, or workouts as penalties. See them as the gym for patience, discipline, and grit. I used to hate answering emails, hundreds piled up, overwhelming. But one day, I reframed it. These aren't emails. They're bridges of connection. Suddenly, no more sighs. I felt like I was maintaining living bridges with real people. And you, what task do you see as a burden? What new name could you give it? Write it down, just one line, and notice how your body shifts. The task hasn't changed, but the way you name it can transform duty into invitation. So next time you sigh, "I have to," stop and switch it to "I'm," because the words you choose will shape the way you live that moment. You don't need to change your job to change your life. You just need to change the way you name your work. If this message speaks to you, try it today. Pick one task you dislike and rename it. And if you find it helpful, share this podcast with a friend. Hit like, subscribe. Principle 8. Enjoy the task. Motivation is like fire. If you only wait for fuel from outside, it burns out fast. But if you find the spark inside, it can burn for a lifetime. Have you ever wondered why some people stick with a habit for years, while others quit after a few weeks? It's not because they're stronger. It's because they've found joy right in the process. Motivation has two faces: extrinsic from the outside, intrinsic from within. Extrinsic is chasing the outcome. Going to the gym for six-pack abs, studying to get an A or a bigger paycheck or praise. Intrinsic is different. You move because you love moving. You dance because you love the music. You learn because curiosity pulls you forward. You can walk into the gym saying, "I need to lose 10 pounds." That's extrinsic. But if you join a dance class you love, each session is already a reward. That's intrinsic. And intrinsic joy lasts longer. A 2017 study on New Year's resolutions found people who set only result-based goals like losing weight or saving money gave up quickly. But those who focused on habits and enjoying the process stayed consistent far longer. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The pain is not in the thing itself, but in the way we see it." You're not exhausted because of the task. You're exhausted because you see it as a burden. Try folding laundry with full presence. Answer emails with mindful focus. See each repeated motion as training patience. The work doesn't change, but the experience does. If you treat a task like a heavy bridge to a distant goal, each step feels endless. But if you treat it like rowing down a river, each stroke has value in itself. Yes, the destination matters, but the journey is where you actually live. How to practice: enjoy the task. Choose a form you like. Don't force yourself to walk with a friend instead. Don't just study for money, study for curiosity. Find presence in the action. Breathe deeply while washing dishes. Feel your muscles while lifting weights. Let music guide you while writing. Ask Stoic questions. Is this pain from the task or from the way I think about it? If I shift my perspective, could this be enjoyable? I used to hate running. 5 kilometers sounded like torture. Until one morning, I left the pump-up music behind. I just listened to my footsteps, heard my breath mixing with the cool morning air, watched the sun rise through the trees. It stopped being a 5K run. It became a morning fully lived. From that day, I didn't need motivation to run. I wanted to run because I enjoyed it. And you? What task feels like a burden right now? Could you redesign it so the process itself feels lighter? If you need to study, do it in your favorite cafe. If you need to exercise, pick a sport that makes you smile. If your work is repetitive, treat it as moving meditation. We can't wait for motivation to fall from the sky, but we can create it right inside the task. When you find joy in the action, you no longer chase motivation. You embody it. Don't just run for the finish line. Run because every step is worth living. If this message speaks to you, try it today. Take one routine task and make it enjoyable. And if you found value here, share this podcast with someone you love. Hit like, subscribe. So together, we can learn to find joy one step, one day at a time. Principle 9. Make it fun. Motivation is like a game. If you set the rules, it feels exciting. If you don't, it feels like a burden. Have you noticed? A task you once hated suddenly felt easier, just because you turned it into a game. Motivation doesn't just come from logic. It comes from emotion. And emotions, you can design them. We often think discipline means strict, dry, heavy. But when you make it fun, discipline becomes a natural rhythm. The Stoics never told us to punish ourselves. They said shift your perspective, find freedom in the smallest things, and sometimes that freedom begins with joy. You don't need to wait for inspiration to strike. Think about this. A single playlist can turn running into an adventure. Sitting next to someone focused can make studying feel like a ritual. A small reward like your favorite cup of coffee can make finishing a to-do list feel like racking up points. The task doesn't change. Your feeling about it does. Remember when you were a kid, you could run around the yard for hours just because it was called tag. No prize, no outcome, just play. And because it was a game, you never got tired of it. Adults aren't that different. We just need better rules of play. How to turn work into a game. Music. Emotional design. Create a playlist just for work. Call it battle mode or focus flow. Every time the music starts, your brain gets the signal, it's game time. Partner study. Shared energy. Sit next to a friend who's also working, or open a study with me video on YouTube. That sense of not being alone makes discipline easier. Points and mini rewards. 10 minutes of focus. Brush 1 point. Finish 3 tasks. 1 small treat. It's not bribery. It's feedback, so your brain feels progress. Strange, not really. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "See every difficulty as training." That's a reframe. Turn the weight into a workout. Turn the task into a challenge, not a duty, a game. I used to hate cleaning the kitchen after dinner until I renamed it Resetting Mission Control. Every time I wiped the counter, it felt like prepping a spaceship for launch. Sounds silly, but that game kept me consistent. No forcing, just play. And you? What task are you putting off because it feels boring? What if you gave it a game name? Maybe it's the 10-minute no-phone mission, or the 5-sentence writing sprint, or Operation Clean One Drawer. You don't need to change the task. You just need to change how you play with it. Motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you create by designing emotion. When you turn work into a game, discipline stops feeling heavy. It becomes a dance, a level you actually want to replay each day. Don't wait for motivation. Design joy, and let joy itself feed your discipline. If this message speaks to you, try it today. Pick one task you've been avoiding, give it a playful name, and start. And if this podcast inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and share so more people can learn how to turn discipline into joy. Principle 10. Stick to a routine. Have you ever wondered why some people stay consistent for years without constantly chasing motivation? The secret isn't superhuman willpower. It's something far simpler. Routine. Routine is like the track of a train. Once the wheels are on the rails, the train just moves. No debate, no hesitation. We often think to stay disciplined, we need fresh determination every day. But the truth is, every time you make a decision, you burn energy. And when your energy runs low, you procrastinate. You avoid. Routine removes that burden. It turns hard choices into familiar rituals. And once the ritual starts, your body and mind follow. Picture this: every morning you argue with yourself. Should I hit the gym now or later? Should I start writing or wait until after coffee? Every question drains you. But with routine, there's no negotiation. You just do it. Like brushing your teeth. No one needs motivation to brush their teeth. A violinist in Berlin begins every practice by rubbing rosin on her bow. That single gesture tells her brain, it's time to play. A software engineer I know always places a water bottle to the left of his keyboard before coding. That tiny ritual unlocks his focus. Small, but powerful when repeated. The Stoics understood this. They didn't seek comfort. They sought stability in discipline. Musonius Rufus once said, "If you complete something good with effort, the labor passes, but the good remains. If you choose easy pleasure, the joy fades, but regret stays." Routine is that philosophy in action. It may feel tiring in the moment, but it leaves behind progress, peace, and a quiet pride. Think of walking through a thick forest. The first day you must cut branches, clear the way. It's slow, exhausting. But if you walk that same path every day, it becomes a trail. No more cutting, you just walk. Routine works the same way. Each repeated action is another footprint in your brain, and once the trail is carved, you don't need motivation to follow it. Practice. Build. Small rituals. Light a candle before you start writing. Change into workout clothes the moment you get home. Write one word in your journal each morning to signal, now it begins. Rituals are signals. They teach your brain. Whenever this happens, I shift into action. I once struggled to write my book. Every day was a battle. Do I write now or later? Until I created a simple routine. Every morning I brewed tea, opened my notebook, and wrote a single sentence. That cup of tea and that first sentence became my ritual. And soon, I no longer asked if. I just wrote. So let me ask you, how much energy are you wasting on indecision? How much strength could you free if you built just one small routine? Routine isn't a cage. It's freedom. Freedom from inner debates. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom to save your energy for what truly matters. So start with one small ritual. Repeat it, and let your routine become the invisible hand that pulls you through resistance. Discipline doesn't imprison you. It frees you. Routine is the path to freedom. If this message speaks to you, try it today. Create one small ritual to begin your work. And if this podcast inspires you, hit like, subscribe, and share so more people can discover the freedom found in routine. Principle 11. Track your progress. Have you ever felt like you've been working and working, but not getting anywhere? Like rowing in the middle of an ocean, with no shore in sight? The truth is, you don't need more motivation. You need proof. Most of us measure progress by emotion, but emotions are liars. Today, you feel lost. Tomorrow, you feel like you're on track. If you chase feelings, you'll get tossed around like waves. What you need is visible evidence, a trail of proof whispering back, I showed up. I did the work. On the tired days, your mind will whisper, nothing's changing. This effort is pointless. But when you look back at your trail of evidence, the X's on the calendar, the lines in your journal, the boxes you've checked, you see another truth you're moving forward. I once knew a single mom. She had only a few minutes free each night. But instead of waiting for the perfect time, she chose to write for just 10 minutes. Every session, she stuck a post-it on her closet door. After a month, the door was covered, and she no longer saw herself as someone too busy to write. She began to believe, I am a writer. That chain of evidence reshaped her identity. Imagine every action as a single link. Day 1, just one link. Small, almost invisible. But then 2 links, 3, 10. Soon, you've built a chain. And when you're tempted to skip, you hesitate not out of fear, but because you don't want to break the chain. Practice. Track your progress. Hang a wall calendar. Mark an X. Each day you show up. Write a single line in your journal, I was here today. Use a whiteboard or a points app. The numbers don't matter. The repetition does. Each mark says, I'm still moving forward. The Stoics didn't chase fleeting feelings. They focused on tangible action. Epictetus taught, don't talk about philosophy. Live it. Each mark you leave is not a promise, not a burst of inspiration. It's reality. I showed up. I acted. I once went through burnout. Every day I asked, what's the point? Until I tried something simple. Every time I finished writing, I drew a small circle in my notebook. After 2 weeks, those circles stretched into a long line, and I realized even in exhaustion, I was moving. That proof kept me going. So let me ask you, are you letting your efforts vanish without a trace? If you started recording today just one mark 6 months from now, you'd see a clear path behind you. Motivation fades, emotions shift, but proof remains. Every X, every sticky note, every journal line is a witness that you did not quit. So don't just do the work, leave a trace, because those traces become the mirror that shows you the road you've traveled and remind you to keep going. Don't search for motivation in feelings. Find it in the evidence you leave behind each day. If this message speaks to you, try it tonight. Make that first X on your calendar. And if this podcast inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and share so more people can learn how to leave their own trail of proof. Principle 12. Anchor your identity. Have you ever wondered why some people can wake up early for 10 straight years while most of us can't hold a habit for even a week? The secret isn't superhuman willpower. It comes down to one simple question: who am I? We usually tie motivation to results. I work out to get abs. I work hard to get promoted. I study to earn a certificate. But result-driven motivation is fragile. If the results don't come fast enough, we quit. And even if they do, we're left empty. The Stoics looked at it differently. They didn't ask, "What will I get if I do this?" They asked, "Who will I become if I do this?" Epictetus said, "First decide who you want to be. Then act accordingly." Lasting motivation doesn't come from rewards. It comes from identity, from the person you choose to be. You can say, "I'm going to the gym to lose weight," but it's far stronger to say, "I work out because I'm someone who values strength and health." You can say, "I'm writing this report because my boss asked," but deeper is, "I'm writing this report because I keep promises to myself." When actions are tied to identity, they stop feeling forced. They become natural. Picture it like this: every action is a vote. Every page you write is a vote for "I am a writer." Every workout is a vote for "I am a healthy person." Every kept promise is a vote for "I am reliable." Day after day, the votes pile up, and over time, they shape who you are. I remember a season when I kept putting off writing. I told myself, "I have to finish this book." But the pressure of results paralyzed me. Only when I shifted my frame, "I am a writer." And writers write every day. Everything changed. Writing stopped being a project. It became part of me. Practice. Anchor your identity. Try it today. Write one sentence. Not just "I will work hard, but I am someone who gives my best." Not just "I will learn new skills, but I am someone who always grows." Not just "I'll spend time with family, but I am someone who puts loved ones first." Each sentence is an anchor. Each action is a vote. And slowly, your identity solidifies. People think discipline is a cage, but the Stoics knew discipline is freedom. Freedom from the moods that push you around. Freedom to live as the person you choose to be. So who do you want to be if you had to describe yourself in 3 words? What would they be? And are you casting enough votes each day to make those words true? Motivation fades. Results come and go, but identity stays. So let every small action today be a ballot, a declaration of who you are becoming. In the end, discipline doesn't make you rigid. It makes you free. Every small action is a vote for the person you're becoming. If this message speaks to you, write down one sentence, "Who am I?" and tomorrow act like it's already true. And if this podcast gives you something to carry, hit like, subscribe, and share it so more people can find freedom in the discipline they choose. Principle 13. Find your reason. Why have you ever noticed? Some people fall 10 times and still get back up, while others quit after the very first stumble. The difference isn't raw strength. It isn't unshakable willpower. It's something simpler. They have a reason big enough not to quit. We often think motivation comes from feelings. A good mood, a sunny day, a burst of inspiration. But feelings fade. What keeps you going isn't excitement. It's your reason, your why. The Stoics didn't act because of fleeting emotion. They acted because of purpose, because of identity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Stop and ask, is this essential to me as a human being?" When your why is strong enough, action stops being optional. It becomes inevitable. A father working 2 jobs not because he enjoys exhaustion, but because he wants his kids to grow up without lacking. A young woman studying past midnight, not because she loves textbooks, but because she refuses to return to poverty. A son pushing through training despite illness, not because he loves sweat, but because he wants his parents to smile, knowing their child is strong. A reason that deep is stronger than fatigue, stronger than fear, stronger than laziness. Picture yourself rowing a small boat in a storm. If it's just a casual trip, you'd quit. But if someone you love is on board, you'll row until your hands bleed. The bigger the reason, the stronger the will. I've wanted to quit too. But then I remember I'm not writing only for myself. I'm writing for someone out there who just needs one reminder not to give up. If even one person keeps going because of these words, then my effort has meaning. That reason keeps me moving. You can find your why today. Ask yourself, if I quit, who suffers? What am I working toward that matters beyond results? If I succeed, whose life besides mine will change? Then write it down. One sentence. Keep it where you'll see it when you're tempted to quit. For the Stoics' purpose wasn't just about achievement. It was the compass for living rightly. A deep why turns discipline into something natural. It transforms action into freedom. So ask yourself, if today were your last day, are you living true to your reason? If not, then you already know what to do. Inspiration fades. Emotions shift. But a deep why will stay. So don't just ask, what must I do? Ask, why am I doing it? Because in the end, inspiration may get you started, but your why is what carries you through the storm. If this message resonates with you, write down your why tonight. And if you know someone tired, ready to quit, share this episode with them. Because sometimes, one reason is enough to save an entire journey. Principle 14. End with reflection. Have you ever let a whole day slip by and felt like it left nothing behind? Like finishing a book and realizing you can't remember a single line. The Stoics, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius never let a day end that way. They had a simple ritual reflection, not to scold themselves, not to wallow in guilt, but to listen, to learn, to step into tomorrow a little wiser. Each night they asked, what did I do well? What did I avoid? What can I do better tomorrow? 3 small questions, but inside them, an entire life. Because a single day is just a lifetime in miniature. You don't need hours. You need a few minutes. 1 sheet of paper, 3 short lines. What I'm proud of, what I can improve, what I commit to tomorrow. Those lines aren't just notes. They're proof you lived with intention, not on autopilot. Think of it like holding up a mirror before bed, not to fix your hair, but to look into your soul. You see both the light and the shadows. And then you choose. Choose to bring a little more light into tomorrow. There are nights when I feel drained, work unfinished, effort wasted. But when I sit down and write 3 lines, I realize something. I still did something good. Maybe I sent an email right on time. Maybe I gave a hug to someone I love. Maybe I made that phone call I'd been putting off. Small things. But they keep me anchored. They remind me a bad moment doesn't erase an entire day. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not let sleep close your eyes before you have reviewed your soul." Reflection is not weakness. It's discipline. It's training the mind to listen instead of being dragged by impulses. Today, you don't need to be perfect. You only need to be honest. And honesty begins with looking back. So tonight, before you sleep, put down your phone. Take a piece of paper. Write 3 short lines. You'll see not just the day, but your entire life will begin to change. A day without reflection vanishes. A day with reflection becomes a brick that builds your identity. You can't control the whole future, but you can choose to learn from today. A day unreflected is a day lost. A day reflected is a step forward. If this message speaks to you, try writing 3 short lines tonight. And if you know someone who needs this practice too, share this podcast with them. Hit subscribe, and together, let's lay down brick by brick to build a life lived with intention. Principle 15. You don't have much time. Did you know? The average human life is about 4,000 weeks, just 4,000. It sounds like a lot, but draw it out on paper, and it's just a small grid of boxes. Week by week, box by box. They disappear. Picture a chart with 4 RO96 little squares. Each one is a week of your life. A week to love, to learn, to create, to live. At birth, the grid is empty. And then one by one, each square fills in, until there are no more left. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. The problem isn't that we lack time. The problem is that we lose it to endless scrolling, to waiting until we feel ready, to postponing dreams out of fear." The Stoics had a phrase, memento mori. Remember that you will die, not to depress you, but to wake you up. Because when you remember life is finite, a hug is no longer routine. It's a gift. A morning isn't boring. It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Imagine holding an hourglass. Each grain of sand is a minute of your life. Once it falls, you can't get it back. You can't stop it. You can only decide, what will I do with the sand that's left? The first time I drew my own 4,000-week chart, my heart sank. A third of the boxes were already gone, and I asked myself, what did I fill them with? Not all were bright. Some were colored with worry. Some faded in procrastination. But others glowed days when I dared to write mornings, when I chose love, moments when I truly lived. Marcus Aurelius warned, "You act like you have eternity." But every day you are dying. It sounds heavy, but it's actually freeing, because it reminds us we don't need to wait for perfect. We don't need to wait for motivation. We only need to act inside today's box. A simple practice: print or draw your own 4,000-week chart. Mark one box this week. Write inside it the one thing that matters most. At the end, ask yourself, what color did I paint this square? If you had 1,000 boxes left, how would you live? If you had 100, what would you start today? And if you had just one final square, what would you want it to hold? Life isn't long. It's only about 4,000 weeks, and the weeks are slipping away. You can't add more boxes. but you can choose how to fill them. You don't have a lifetime to waste. You have 4,000 weeks to truly live. If this message speaks to you, try drawing your chart tonight. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share this podcast with them. Don't forget to hit subscribe so together, week by week, we can fill our boxes with meaning. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the right moment? For that magical day when you finally feel ready for inspiration to strike out of nowhere? If you keep waiting, that day may never come. Here's the truth. Motivation is not the start. It's the result. Most people believe inspiration comes first, then action follows. But the Stoics knew the opposite is true. Action creates clarity, then motivation appears. The moment you take even one small step, the fog lifts. And that's when the fire begins to burn. Motivation is like fire, but it doesn't spark on its own. It needs a match, your first action. One step, one sentence on the page, one phone call you've been avoiding all week. Strike the match. The fire catches. Keep moving. The fire grows. And that fire doesn't just warm you, it lights the path forward. I've wasted too many days waiting for the perfect time, but it never arrived. The only time things shifted was when I started typing the first clumsy words, walking for just 5 minutes, writing a single line in my journal. Those tiny actions changed the day. One day shifted into a month into a year. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time debating what a good person should be. Be one, not talking, not waiting, not planning, acting. Because when you act, you prove to yourself that you matter. You show you're awake, living with intention, not drifting in hesitation." Your practice today. Pick one small thing you've been putting off. Do it, right now. No debate. Write this down, I act first. Motivation follows. If you keep waiting, you'll lose another square on your life's calendar. But if you act, even once, you light the fire. Motivation doesn't lift you off the couch. Your action calls motivation to you. If this message speaks to you, don't let it end here. Do the thing you're thinking about right now. And if you want a weekly reminder, subscribe to this channel, so together we keep striking matches and keep the fire alive.